Hi, my name is Bassem Abdel Ghaffar, and today I will speak to you about video analysis in congenital deafblind education with the subtitle Seeing the Unseen, Unveiling Dynamics. Here is a brief introduction about myself. I am a clinical psychologist by training, and I have also extensive experience in deafblind education. I'm working in the field since 1999. I'm a Perkins International Graduate Educational Leadership Program. I'm also a deafblind International Communication Ambassador. Let's start with the brief definition of deafblindness. What is deafblindness? Deafblindness is combined vision and hearing disabilities. The problem with the deafblindness that the person have limited access to information and communication and mobility. Of course, because of that, the learning, especially the spontaneous learning, becomes very complex process. That's the people who are deafblind with congenital deafblindness rely on the other senses to try to overcome the deafness and blindness. Usually, it will be the near senses like touch and smell and taste. There is another definition I would like to use in this presentation. It's called the Nordic definition of deafblindness. Nordic means Scandinavian in this context. Deafblindness is a combined vision and hearing impairment of such severity that is hard for the impaired senses to compensate for each other. This is a very important distinction that sometimes we use this definition to actually diagnose the deafblindness, not only relying on the medical diagnosis, but when we find a person who is visually impaired and hearing impaired, but not each of them can compensate for each other, that will apply the deafblindness diagnosis. In this case, we will be educational diagnosis, will apply to this person despite this his or her medical status of the hearing and vision. In this case, it would be called functional deafblindness because the person maybe he's doing well on the medical tests, but in the functional way, in the educational way, on the everyday use, they don't use the vision as it should be, as it shows in the medical reports, and they don't use hearing as it should be, as it shows in the medical reports. As we discussed in the previous definition, there is, of course, varying degrees in the deafblindness. Some people who has combined severe deafness with the moderate visual impairment and vice versa. But we need to know or need to agree on one thing, that deafblindness, it is not deafness plus blindness. It is deafness multiplied by the blindness. So it is not addition. The relationship between the deafness and blindness in the congenitally deafblind person is not adding the disability of deafness to the disability of blindness. No, it's kind of the two disabilities, now they are interact to create a new kind, a unique disability, which is called deafblindness. So in this sense, deafblindness is not a dual disability, it's one unique disability. And of course, a lot of factors can affect how the person function, like the time of onset, when the disability started, is it congenital or acquired, the degree and the nature of the vision or hearing disability. It's combined with other or more disabilities, like having, in addition to deafblindness, maybe they have issue with the mobility, they have maybe on the autistic spectrum, something like that. Is it a stable kind of disability or it's progresses over time? So these factors can also affect how the person will function in the environment. Usually, when we try to define, as I was discussing previously, that one disability, when it happens, other senses try to take over. But the main characteristic of deafblindness, that if you try to compensate with other senses, like, for example, if you try to compensate vision, exploration through vision via touch, it will be very time consuming, it will be energy draining, it will be very fragmented kind of impressions, sensory impressions, because of course, the sensory modality of the touch, it's very different kind of information that's coming from the vision or hearing in that sense. That's why it's not easy for the person who is deafblind to access distant information. Like, he will need to touch it in order to grasp it, in order to explore it, I mean, to grasp the meaning of it. And it only he or she will rely on the information that's coming from the within arm's reach distance. And because of that, of course, making any sense of the world will be, in the majority of cases, will be very fragmented based on the person's conclusions and based on the person's memory. When they explore the environment, it will be very different from other people who are seeing and hearing. The world for them, the representation of the world in the mind of a person who is deafblind will be very different from the seeing and hearing peers. And co-creating communication is actually one of the most advanced in a humanistic sense approaches to deal with people who are deafblind. It was originally founded by the work of Inga Rupro and Anna Nevstad in 1999 in their book, Co-Creating Communication. As I said, it was 1999. Why I'm mentioning that, because today when I discuss the video analysis, I'm actually using the video analysis in the context of the co-creating communication as a philosophy, as an approach, as an attitude, how actually you see the child when you are working with them. So the developmental profile is very useful tool that we use it in order to be able to understand through the video analysis how the person functions. It's not a reference-based tool. It is a very qualitative analysis of the video, as we will see in some video examples. And it consists of, as we see on the screen, consists of 4 columns. And when we look at the columns, we need to look at it from bottom to top and from left to right. So we are starting from social interaction. This is a very basic, or the very starting point. The social interaction, this is the first column on the left. And after that comes proximity. After that comes exploration. After that comes communicative expressions. And each of these domains, if you will, has different stages. If for example, if we look at the social interaction, one of the most important parts of the intervention with the person who is deafblind, we'll find that starting with emotional and motoric attunement. This is the first stage. And can you see in the illustration, the adult and the child having the same wavelength, as we say in English. So they have some sort of attunement, emotional and motoric attunement. In Van Dyke's language, this used to be called coactive movements. And the next level will be expectation and alternating pattern and mutual attention. And it goes up to the joint attention. If we moved to the next column, we'll start from proximity. Proximity in this sense, actually in the co-creating communication approach, it has 2 meanings. We have the gross level of proximity and fine level of proximity. And or micro, we have gross and micro level of proximity. The gross level of proximity is actually, or the macro level of proximity, is the distance, the actual physical distance that you can measure in inches and centimeters between people. This is the macro level of proximity. But there is another level of that, which is called micro level of proximity, is what we can call it as your personal distance, your psychological comfort zone, how near or how far you will feel comfortable when you are dealing with the others. So starting from bottom again, bodily contact, within arm's reach, within reach, beyond reach, and next door. How you can maintain good interaction with the person if they has to be in the total bodily contact, or I can be in a good contact with the person even if they are on the next door. If they are the next door distance, that means I have, as a deafblind person, I have some kind of mental representation of the existence of this person. I don't have to be touching the person physically to understand the person still exists. Permanence, object permanence, because the person, of course, is not an object permanence. The next column will be exploration. As you see, the first stage will be islands of bodily impression, like exploring the elephant, the very famous thing. So just islands of bodily impression, they are not connected. They don't have any kind of meaning. There is no epiphany about the meaning. I'm just trying to grasp bits and pieces of every stimulus. Next level will be strip map. So the child will go around the thing to explore it. He will not just touch here and touch there. No. They have mental map, like strip map. They can go around it and explore it. And it goes up to the characteristics differences within the same category. It means the small nuances between like the pencil and the pen, the glass bottle and plastic water bottle. So they are in the same species, but they are different categories. So if the child can actually find mentally these kind of differences, he can explore these differences using his residual senses, of course, that will put him in the top of this column. And the final column will be communicative expression, starting from the biological expressions, like which called natural expression, like crying when they are sad, smiling when they are happy, things like that. And it goes up to the symbolic, referential, and active gestures. Every gesture has a symbolic meaning, and it has meaning between the both of us, the partners of communication. If you take a good look at the top level of the chart of the profile, you will find there is an arrow coming from all the columns, and they are all going to serve as the platform where the communication will be happening. So we cannot work with the child will not develop in one column only. They will grow and progress in all columns until they reach the symbolic communication. So everything in this column will actually lead to the communication in symbolic way. So when we observe a video clip of a child, what actually we are looking at, what to look when we look. If we are trying to assess social interaction, we will look for synchrony between the two partners, initiation, who is taking initiation in the interaction, the dialogue, if there is any dialogue, that doesn't have, of course, to be verbal, can be give and take games. Is there any sign of joint attention? If we are talking about communication, we will be looking at any kind of communicative expressions. Is it used communicatively, or it just used without communicative intention from the child? Both partners actively contribute in the communication episodes, or it goes from one side and one-way communication, which is not communication, of course, in this case. If we are trying to observe proximity, how the proximity is being regulated. As we discussed, we have two kinds of proximities. We have macro and micro level. Is it regulated by touch? Is it regulated verbally? How it's being regulated? What is the optimal distance between the partners? Is there any communicative expression while proximity is being regulated? I need you more near, I need you more far. Doesn't have to be verbal. Always, I tend to remind of that. Exploration. Can you detect when you observe the video? Can you detect any explorative attempt, or the child just laying down there is not interested in anything? If yes, describe those attempts. Is it by touch? Is it by mouthing? Is it banging and hearing the sound of it? Maybe he has residual vision. Do you notice any communicative expression within the preparation? That's a child try to express what she or he explores, try to grasp the adult's attention to let's explore together, or just solo exploration? How do you see the interaction between senses? Which sense the child depend on the most? When the child uses his senses, if there is any kind of interaction between two senses, if there is cross modality of exploration, can the child use two senses at the same time to explore the same thing? What are the conditions that facilitate exploration? When we say condition, we mean both physical and social. Based on that, we will come up with hypotheses on the child's abilities and the child potentials and suggestions. What will be the next step, which means putting some hypotheses for the IEP. Okay, let's see some of the video examples, but I would like to make sure that the video works, so I will go out and share again to enable the sound. So in this video, let's play it together and see how it rolls.
Usually, mother and child create a greeting ritual together, which they use to make contact. We shall see now how mothers and deafblind children can do that. Just look at how they use blowing, touching, and movement. The mother kisses the baby's arm, and the baby tries to find her mother's face. Then the baby touches with her hand the place where she was kissed. And the mother confirms by kissing the same place. Then the baby goes to the mother's face, explores the face, and goes away. Then the mother tries again by blowing, and the baby touches where she felt the air. The mother repeats the blowing with the kissing.
Now we see a chin-to-chin contact. The mother tries to make her child feel where the voice comes from, while the baby explores the face.
And of course, I'm sure at the first clip before the analysis, it's very hard to detect these small communicative expressions and the reciprocity that is happening between the child and her mother. That's why video analysis is a very important tool and very, very useful tool if you really try to see, as I called the presentation, seeing the unseen. If we are in the middle of the situation, you will not see it. It will go like that. And let's play the next video to prove my point. you know there will be things, but most people will also miss it.
Elodie goes to her mother, who kisses her hand. Elodie touches her nose. The mother confirms by touching repeatedly at the same place. The baby lifts her hand, and the mother kisses.
As we saw, it's very quick, very subtle. Without having the camera, we will not be able to catch it. And it's always good to analyze the videos after you shoot it with your team, not you and the camera only. And it will be, of course, ideal if you have the parents with you. Okay, let's see another clip that is titled Social Interactive Play.
And now look at Susanna and her mother playing together.
Hallo. Hey.
Ik heb daar een speciale manier voor.
Hi.
Die demonstreert u het eigenlijk ook even.
Hoi.
Oh, jammer. Dat doe ik ook.
Hallo. Hallo. Was jij zo blij?
Ik zie het.
Was jij zo blij? Was jij zo blij? Ja? Zo blij? Was je zo blij? Ja. Dan kon je nog in je handjes klappen. Kon je nog in je handjes klappen? Ja? Kon je nog in je handjes klappen? Oh, moest ik verder gaan? Moet ik verder gaan? Suzanne. Hallo. Hallo. Hey.
Susanna jumps, expressing her happiness. And her mother suggests to play with her mouth.
Hallo.
Susanna gets back to jumping.
Was je zo blij?
Mother suggests again to play with the lips.
Zo blij?
Susanna wants to jump again.
Ja. Dan kon je nog in je handjes.
Susanna is now considering the mother's suggestion.
Handjes klappen. Kon je nog in je handjes klappen? Ja?
Mother is moving her fingers, by that monitoring the child's attention, and so maintaining the joint involvement.
Clear? I hope it's clear that we can see, detect very, very slight and very quick and nuanced kind of expressions. We have another video clip, intervention strategies. We have here on the left, Inga Robro herself. Of course, we lost her, sadly.
This scene is organized symmetrically, so it allows joint action, co-regulation and reciprocity. As we will see, this type of interactions provides options for co-creating shared themes and variations within the repertoire of the child. Here we see a rhythmic pattern of tapping pencil on paper, and also variations in the duration of the tapping pattern. The adult triggers Andrew's attention by waiting a little bit before reacting. This creates awareness of the participation of the other. As a second theme, we just saw scribble movements, immediately combined with the first theme. to the action of the adult. Together they go on making variations within the two basic themes by using combinations of the tempo and alternating the duration, the order and the location on the paper. The hesitation of the adult triggers the child to act so that the adult participates again. Andrew controls Inger's participation by placing his hand just outside her hand.
Inger prøver ind, for han tog din hånd. Er du mærke til det?
Here it looks as if he says to his teacher, "Did you see me?"
And let's move forward because my time is almost up. Actually, all these videos are taken from the video project that with this title, Emergence of Communication. It was done by the collaboration in the Nordic countries. It's very rich video examples to understand how the video analysis is being done, as we saw some of the examples of it. I also used some of my videos as a teacher, but there is no actually time to play it. Maybe some other time we can do that. And here we have bibliography of all the sources I have used during my presentation. And as I said, the videos was taken from the video project, Emergence of Communication. And I would like at the end to thank you very much. And I really regret not being able to present in person at your beautiful city of Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh, in the beautiful country of India. Maybe some other next time I would love to be there. Thank you very much and hopefully to see you soon.